Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I'm back with a new layout for Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2020 March kits for this. And I based this layout on the March mood board, and I went with all of the rainbow colors. And I've been trying to come up with an idea to use this paper for a big design idea. It's paper 13 from Paige Evans Bloom Street, and the first thing I noticed was that all the colors of the rainbow are in these little strips of phrases. And so I'm going to start by just slicing them all up and then cutting them up into little pieces. And then I'm going to arrange them in rainbow order. And for some reason, when I looked at the page as a whole, I didn't realize that there were that many colors. Now, when I start to cut them up and place them separately into color groups, there are quite a few colors. So it stretches off the screen here as I go. I love how this winds up looking. Look at all these different colors, and there's some even of a darker purple over there on the right that aren't even going to fit on my screen here. There were mostly yellow. Yellow is the most. But that's okay. I'm not going to use all of these. I wasn't even sure what I wanted to do with them. I just wanted to use them somehow on a background, and I'm going to go with this really pretty blue cardstock as my background. It's in the cardstock kit. I think it's called, I can tell you right here, it's called Stonewash, which is perfect because it looks like denim. Now, this is an idea. I don't go with this, but I thought maybe I could just do some waves and make it look rainbow, but the more I scattered the colors out, I didn't like it. So I took that off, took a break. Then I decided I was going to create a different kind of wave on the background, but I needed a line to kind of start the first line. So I used my pencil and just kind of free-handed a big wave. And I'm not going to use all the colors, but I want to create a big rainbow wave of lots of layers. And so that's what I'm going to do here. And this turns out so cool. I think this is one of my most favorite layouts that I've made in a while. So yeah, if you have the March kits and you have this paper and you don't know what to do with it, this is an idea that you could try. So I'm going to start on that line that I drew and then kind of bend up the edges of each of these little pieces here, and then add a little bit of glue in the middle and kind of tuck the second line underneath the edge of the first line, because I'm going to wind up being able to kind of fold up the edges. And so it's going to be very textured and dimensional once it's all attached. So yeah, okay. Now check this out. I love how that looks. So cool. And now you can kind of see what I'm talking about there with the edges bent up. It's going to create lots of dimension, lots of rough texture, and it's going to be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to slice off all of these pieces here that are hanging off the edge and go from there. Okay, here's my sweet picture. I love this picture. I've been waiting for the perfect page to scrap this picture. This is from 2012, and this is my daughter after we went for a four-wheeler ride, and she was just sitting there after we had parked it, and she didn't want to get off, and she had just closed her eyes and was having a moment of, oh, that was so much fun. And it's one of my favorite pictures of her, and I have never scrapped it. So this is the layout where I'm going to do that. And I am going to do a little bit of mixed media kind of behind where the picture is going to go. So I'm going to use my hands here with some white gesso and just start smudging kind of underneath the bottom layer where the purple is, and then a little bit underneath and below where the photo is going to go. Yeah, I don't even use, I don't even think I use any tools on this. I'm just using my hands. Your hands are the best smudgers you could get. Smudger, that's not a word, but you know me. I like to make up words, and I am smudging, so I guess technically my hands would be the smudger. But yeah, I'm just kind of folding up the edges a little bit there and kind of just creating this white haze coming from underneath the strips there. And the gesso here, kind of where I'm doing it around the picture, is just going to sort of brighten up the blue background and kind of help the photo to stand out. And that is kind of where I'm going to add some of the mixed media products here in just a minute. I had an idea of doing kind of the same thing on the top layer above the reddish and coral color of the rainbow. So I'm going to do this. Oh, there's Paige's hands. She was saying peace. Anyway, all right, so that's dry. Yeah, I did some stitching. I took a break and decided it needed some texture. And so I pulled out all of these colors of thread, and I did change out the thread every time I changed color there, and just kind of added a little bit of texture. And you can't really tell from there, but up close you can see it, and it looks really cool. Okay, so that is exactly where my photo is going to go. So I want to kind of do a little bit of mixing and matching. So between this month's color kit and last month's color kit, we have gotten 3 colors of the Nuvo Embellishment Mousse. This color that I'm using here is Lilac Lavender, and that is from last month's kit. And I'm going to mix it with some of the Lindy's Starburst sprays that we've gotten in past kits. I'm mixing it with a little bit of the Bougainvillea Fuchsia. I'm trying to create the purplish color that you see on the bottom layer of the strips. And there's a couple of different shades of purple, kind of also an indigo color. So I'm going to have to mix a couple different colors here to get that. So I'm mixing those 2 colors, adding a little bit of water, just using my brush to kind of thin it out and mix it together. And it takes a little bit of mixing and pressing down with the brush because obviously the mousse is pretty thick. To change the color of the purple, this wasn't the right color, so I'm adding in some blue. This is one of the Lindy sprays called Blue Hawaiian Blue, and that's exactly what I needed to make the color that I was going for here. So if you have the color kits from past months, you know, pull those out because a lot of those colors are going to match this month's kits. And like I do quite frequently, mix and matching products and colors, you get all kinds of new colors. And you can kind of see here, I'm using this just like I would any other watercolor. Even though the mousse is in there, you can thin it out and make it very, very watery. So it's working great, and it's very shiny. As you can see, it's very shimmery, and when it's dry, it is very, very pretty. So all I'm doing here is using my brush, a little bit of water to kind of spread around that color, kind of around where the photo is going to go, on the sides and down below it, like that. And I just tried to keep that purple kind of in the purple section. I thought that I might try to do tone on tone with this and add, you know, some purple things to the purple section and some green stuff to the green section. That kind of happens, but I also kind of change it as I go. But for the sake of the mixed media down at the bottom, I thought I would just stick with the purple color. And her shirt is purple in the photo, and so it just works well together, I think. And since there's a lot of dark colors around her in the photo, there's some green because the four-wheeler is green, and then there's some black. I think that it kind of helps her to stand out in the photo there. You see what I'm talking about? So yeah, that's how you can control things that you put around your photo to really make the photo itself pop. Because sometimes it depends on what you add around the photo, whether it makes the photo pop or it drowns it out, if that makes any sense. So I always try to do things to make the photo stand out. So I'm adding a little bit of splatters and some other colors around down here at the bottom. Not too much. I didn't want to get too crazy with all the colors. I splattered a little bit of the Bougainvillea Fuchsia and what else? I think that's it down there at the bottom for now. Maybe a little bit of the lighter pink. Oh, I think I do that later. I haven't brought the lighter pink out yet. So yeah, I'm just going to keep working on this bottom area here, and I think that looks really pretty. And then I wanted to add some white splatters, and my favorite way to do that is to just water down a little bit of white acrylic paint and then use my brush and just splatter it around. I tend to want to do this when I use colored cardstock like this because the white just really pops and it just gives it a fun look. It looks a little bit more distressed and weathered, and I just love it. It's great if you ever want to make snow on your layout, or you could use it on a bright sunny rainbow layout just like this. I don't think it matters. But when it dries, you know, it stays white. It doesn't just dissolve into the paper. Okay, so here's where I decided to add a little bit of color up at the top on the red and the pink section here. And so this is going to be very subtle, but I think it makes a big difference once it's finished. I'm using some other Lindy's colors. This is the lighter pink I was talking about. The spray that I used first is called Cotton Candy Pink. And then I pull out some of the powders, the magical powders that we've gotten, and I haven't used either of these two colors in a while. That coral peachy color is called Fuzzy Navel Peach, and then this color is Andrea's Azalea, and it is so pretty. I forgot how pretty it is. But these are the perfect colors to match these three colors in this rainbow paper. So yeah, I'm just kind of adding a little bit of this color above each section, and it's just going to look kind of subtle and hazy because it's going on top of the white gesso. And if you're going to add color to cardstock, especially colored cardstock, and you want the color to stay that color, then gesso will help with that, because the gesso basically gave me some white space. Because when you add these powders to colored cardstock, it's instantly going to change color. It's not going to look like its original color, if that makes sense. So the gesso provides some white, if that makes sense. I already said that. Let's move on. So I'm just going to keep adding some layers in these same colors, adding a little bit of splatter, and just keep working on it. I know it looks really shiny because it's wet. I know the bottom part looks shiny because of the mousse. If you've used this mousse before, then you know it is super shiny. And but yeah, oh so beautiful. It's almost finished here, I believe. Hopefully, I'm almost done with the background. There we go. Now you can see what I'm talking about. It looks really fun and subtle up at the top, but it's also very shimmery and shiny. But I love all this color. I think it's fun. So the background is done. Now I'm going to get to work on everything else. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of tissue paper, like I tend to do, behind my photo there. It just gives a little bit of a messy, rough border around the edge of the photo there. And then I'm going to use some things from the kits. I'm going to use some pieces of paper, pattern paper that I'd already cut up for a previous layout. I'm going to use some bits of pocket life cards. I'm just trying to get a little bit of color around the photo to, you know, add a little bit of something around the edges there. And this is where I decide to kind of spread the color around and not just do tone on tone. So there's going to be some yellow around the photo. There's going to be some of this reddish coral color down at the bottom there. I was just trying to go for colors that were light and would make the photo pop, because the photo does have a lot of dark color in it. And that's just my little edge distressor there. And so now you can kind of see the photo is going to stand out a little bit more. It's got a little bit of color there. So I'm going to use up some scraps from my adhesive foam that I've got going here, and this is going to give the photo some pop off the page, a little bit of dimension there, which I love to do also. And then kind of go through all of the embellishments, try to figure out what I'm going to do for a title, if I'm going to add things around the photo. I do want to add a couple things. I'm going to add some florals. Just kind of trying things out at this point. I am loving all of these Heidi Swap sticker sheets. All of the Bloom Street stuff is so pretty, and it all coordinates really, really nicely together. I want to use that favorite sticker. That's going to be part of my title that I'm going to add later, and it's the perfect color. So I'm going to use that. This is something that I tried. I wind up taking this off, but I wanted to keep the process in and just kind of show you things that I try and things that don't work. And this doesn't look bad. I just think it's just too much. I thought about going tone on tone again and putting some small embellishments all over the rainbow, you know, like some of the puffy stickers, that little sunshine on the yellow, some of these arrows, that green butterfly on the green section. But the more I added, the more it just looked too much. I don't know. It looked different in person. It doesn't look that busy now that I'm rewatching this on film, but I don't know. It just kind of looked like I was making it too busy. I don't know. What do you think? You'll see how I wind up finishing it. And here's an example of why I tend to trim off the white borders around some of my die cuts. Do you see how the white border around these hearts really make them stand out? I think that is what made me not want to scatter all these little embellishments around. It just kind of took away from the background. The white edges around the hearts just made them stand out so much. It kind of, to me, takes away from the background. So I set it there for a while, and I went back and thought, I don't like that. So I removed everything except for the little arrow or chevron stickers that we get on one of the Heidi Swap sticker sheets. I do keep those, and I pop those up off the page with teeny tiny pieces of adhesive foam that took me forever to peel off because they were so tiny. But I am going to add those to the background because at this point you can't really see them, but in the end you can see them. Here's where I'm going to start with the title. I knew I wanted to use this word favorite, and I wanted to kind of curve it underneath right there because it was just too perfect not to. It kind of blends into that purple color, and it was the perfect size, the perfect place. So that's not all the title, but that's where it's going to begin. I'm going to glue these little arrows down, and I'm going to have to put heavy things on top of them because the background is so textured with all those strips that none of these little things wanted to stay glued down. So got that taken care of, and now we're going to work on embellishing. I am going to use some of these floral cluster stickers around the photo there. I'm going to go through, I almost used one of these sunshines, but I changed my mind because I wanted it to be a flower. So I go back to the pattern papers and pull out my second sheet of paper number 13. This is the other side, and cut a few flowers. I'm going to cut a yellow one and then a pink one to use as well because I wanted to layer something on top of the photo right there to the left. Since there's a big open space with a lot of black, I wanted to break that up, and so I felt like layering a flower on top of it. I did change it. I put the yellow one on the right and the pink one on the left. And so my title is going to be Favorite Ride. Very short and simple, but I like it. I'm going to use those glittery thickers that are really soft blue color. And then I'm going to add a little cluster over to the right of the word ride so it doesn't look so lopsided. But yeah, we had gone out for a four-wheeler ride, and so Favorite Ride, that sounds like a short and sweet and simple title. So that's what it's going to be. I did add some of the Bloom Street butterflies, and I did do those tone on tone as best I could. And then I cut a couple more flowers from paper 13, and I'm going to use those as a little cluster down by the word ride. And then I'm adding some, not flowers, hearts, but I do wind up kind of changing that in just a minute. Before I start to glue anything down where the photo is, I'm going to come in with some thread. This is yellow. I was trying to use colors that I thought would kind of brighten up and break up some of the purple, since we've got the blue background. The word favorite is purple. There's just a lot of purple / indigo-ish colors down at the bottom. So I'm trying to bring in other colors with the thread and the hearts and the flowers and things. So I'm going to very carefully start to glue down everything around the photo as well as the photo itself. And I made sure that the photo was on the left half of the layout, since she is looking to the right and her face is kind of looking up. So it kind of looks like she's looking up and across the page. I think she's maybe looking at that pink butterfly, kind of what it looks like. But it just gives her something to look at, as if she was coming to life on this layout, which I know is cuckoo, but that's how I think of things when I'm placing my photos around. I do kind of change where I put the hearts. I decide to just do some flowers for now. I take one of those strips from another Heidi Swap sticker sheet that says yay, yay, yay. I tore it and just added the yay, yay, yay part underneath the photo with the yellow heart. Not heart, flower. And then I'm just going to use the pink flower over on the right. And then I was trying to think of a color that I hadn't really brought to this area, and the light coral color was one. So I used some thread in that color, and I just kind of wound it up into a circle. And when I want a circle of thread, I usually use 2 or 3 fingers and just wrap the thread around it and then kind of spread it out to make it look kind of messy. So that's what color is under that flower. And then I do add a couple of the hearts, but not like I had originally planned. This is one of the Heidi Swapp phrase stickers. It says good for the soul, because, you know, when I look at this picture, that's just what I think of, because she just looks so precious with her little face. She was so just, oh, that was just what I needed. Fresh air. I put some of the, let's see what colors, that's the dark teal thread underneath that to bring a pop of that color down there. And then I do kind of add little dots of glue to the edges, or not the edges, but the strands of my thread that kind of come out loose, because they always move around. So I want to make sure that they stay in place. Almost finished here. I had a couple of these puffy dots. I think these are from Pebbles. Just a couple of those to add some more texture, little pops of color. I put some yellow ones on the middle of the flowers to give them something extra. And then I'm going to add the journaling. I'm going to use my white Jelly Roll pen, since everything is kind of light and bright on this page. And then I add the date. And I think that's it. Yep. That's the final layout. I love how this turned out. I have been wanting to use that paper for so long, and I could not come up with an idea. And then this is what happened. So I hope you guys like this. I'm obsessed with anything rainbow, so it makes me happy. There you can see all the stitching and all the texture. As usual, I took a lot of close-ups, so you can see all the texture, all the dimension, the shiny, shimmery background. I did make sure to glue down the word favorite, because nothing ever sticks that well to gesso. But yeah, if you want some texture, you want some rainbow and some color, cut up that paper and figure out a way to arrange all of those little phrase pieces, because they make an excellent background design. So I hope you guys like this. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope you have a great week ahead. Stay safe and stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.